Okay, so good morning, everybody. My name is PGlenn. I like to take this time to speak on a topic that is very dear to myself as well as my family. Okay, like I said, good morning. My name is PGlenn, and the title of my speech is The Importance of Cyclic Steam Injection. As we all know, energy is in high demand, and with oil prices the way they are today, the research and development for alternative or green energy is really uneconomic. So what is the solution to this potential energy crisis? What I'm going to talk about today is the ability to produce heavier crude oil through different production methods such as cyclic steam injection. Heavy oil or heavy crude is very difficult to produce through conventional methods. A great physical description of heavy crude comes from the Canadian Association of Petroleum Engineers in a research paper entitled What Are Oil Sands? In reading this paper, one line stuck out immensely to me. Imagine oil as hard as a hockey puck. With a description like that, how could we ever recover such an asset? Though heavy production is difficult to recover, according to Hart in the paper Production Engineering, heavy oil reserves make up more than twice that of light oil reserves in the world. The reason this is a personal topic to me and hits home is because I myself have nearly a decade experience in light oil production and heavy crude production. And though this method may be seen in the news as an expensive or not necessarily safe manner in which to produce oil, in my experience, that is definitely not the case. Energy is a necessity, and the price of fossil fuels is so low, alternative or green research and development is non-economic at this time. It is imperative that our established current production methods are continually developed and used in order to produce the required natural resource and sustain the nation's energy needs. With this being said, I'd like to touch on a few main points. One of them being the duration of use, the safety of this production method, and the economic benefit of using this method. So though this may be seen as a new production or a new science itself, according to the California-based journalist Hoffman in The Anatomy of Cyclic Steam Injection taken from the Santa Barbara Independent, cyclic steam injection has been in place in California since the early 1960s. Also in this paper, in my home county, Santa Barbara, it is stated that cyclic steam injection has been in use since the early 1990s. That being said, that's nearly half a century. And with the length of this use, it's kind of comical to see, or interesting at least, to see that the life of a well is very short. It's maybe 10 years long. So with all these new wells all the time in the last half century, you would expect some kind of safety, failures, whatever that may be. So now that we talked about the duration of the life that we've been using cyclic steam injection in California, I'd like to touch on safety. So though this is a relatively new, if you look at it, method, according to Jordan and Benson, quoted from their research paper, Well Blowout Rates and Consequences in California Oil and Gas District, blowout rates have substantially decreased from 1991 to 2005. Along with this statistic, Jordan and Benson have deduced the overall safety has increased due to increased knowledge and improved technology. Blowouts are primarily attributed to poor design. So touching back on the small duration of life of a well being 10 years, it's very, very important that we continue and improve the technology. Moving from the safety aspect more towards the economic benefit, I'm going to look at the ultimate recovery factor. In the article I read, Current Overview of Cyclic Steam Injection Process, written by Alvarez and Hahn, through use of cyclic steam injection, the average recovery factor has increased from 15% to 40% worldwide. Ultimate recovery factor is the amount of oil you can actually produce from the estimated original oil in place deemed by the company or the engineer. So if you look at it on an overall numbers basis, if a company deduces there's 100 million barrels of reserves of potential oil in place in the ground, through use of light conventional methods, we could only assume to produce about 15 million barrels. By implementing this relatively new technique, we have increased that 15% to 40%. The economic benefits are alarming. The increase in recovery is due to the decrease in viscosity. So to conclude, I have talked about the length of use, the duration, the life of the well, the safety of the process, and the enhanced recovery of heavy crude, but I'd like to reiterate a few points. In regards to the length of time used in California, this is nearly half a century old. It's not a new science that we've been using just the other day. It's a continued improved technology. Safety has continued to increase. Any incident or accident has decreased, and that is stated in numerous different papers. The economic benefit is probably the biggest factor here. We've increased our recovery by essentially 25%. No other industry in this world can say that. That's amazing. In order to remain viable, industries must increase efficiency, and it's shown here we are doing that. In conclusion, I urge you to inform yourself and form your own opinion, rather than informing that from the media or other informed biased reports. Thank you for your time.